Okay, so on to our next speaker, Eyal Waldman, President and CEO of Mellanox. Eyal, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for inviting me, and now we're part of NVIDIA.
Okay, important to say.
Yes.
So Mellanox NVIDIA is probably the most notable Israeli company working with Palestinian professionals, both in the West Bank and Gaza, I believe. Before we deep dive into this specific issue, let's start from the beginning. Always a good place to start. So if you could tell us a little bit about the company, and also what was the original need that made you seek an outsourcing solution to begin with.
Yeah, so Mellanox is, there's an echo, right? That's okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so Mellanox is a company it's a fabless semiconductor company, and what we do is connectivity. We connect computers and storage. Actually, about 80% of the time you touch your phone, you go through Mellanox, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Netflix, Uber, and many more, also Alibaba, Baidu, Tencent, JD.com, and TikTok. All of them use Mellanox products. And we were 34,000 employees in about 32,000 employees in 34 countries. And the expansion or the need of human resources caused us to start looking at cheaper places to hire human resources. We have in Ukraine, we have in Russia, we have some in China. And then we started thinking, our neighbors here, it's a cheaper place to hire human resources than in Israel, and they do have the talent that we need. And we started looking into the Palestinian Authority, both in the next to us in the West Bank and in Gaza, for human resources to join us and be part of the team to make Mellanox more successful.
Tell us a little bit more about kind of looking into working with the Palestinians. You said a little bit about the talent that is there. You mentioned also the proximity, but tell us a little bit more about, really taking the decision to look at that option seriously.
So first, we were looking for more cost-efficient areas to work in. And we started interviewing in Ramallah at that time, and we started building a small team of 5 and then 10 people that started to work on our software qualification. We then expanded the team slowly, and then the team moved to Rawabi once Rawabi was ready. And we found more and more talent to join the teams that were working on mainly software, because there are good, students and engineers with our Palestinian Authority neighbors that we could recruit to join Mellanox. We then expanded into more areas, such as hardware development, such as operations support, and so on, so we can actually give our Palestinian employees more diversification in areas and fields they can help us with. After some time, we decided that Gaza is a very interesting and an important area where we can build trust and build bridge between the two people, and we started hiring in Gaza. Today we have about 20 employees in Gaza, and we look forward to growing there, where they are very talented. They're actually, imagine you can find out of all of the millions of people that live in Gaza, the top of the top that can join you and the smartest people there to join Mellanox or any other company or NVIDIA today. And that's what we started doing, and we have a great team both in Rawabi, Nablus, and Hebron, and we have a great team also in Gaza that help us in many areas of development of our products.
And today, can you say that this was a right decision to make? Looking back, what has the experience shown?
It's very successful. It's successful first from the teams we've been able to build, from the collaboration on the professional side. I think the Palestinian employees have made a lot of money joining Mellanox. Just during the transaction between Mellanox and NVIDIA, the Mellanox Palestinian employees have done more than, I think, $4 million in equity, maybe even more like $5 million in equity, which is a lot of money in the Palestinian territories. So I think first they've done great. I think Mellanox has done great, and together we're working together. I think what's even more important is that there's a positive friction between the Palestinian people and the Israeli people. There's a lot of fear between the two sides. And when you start taking the fear level down, I think it's very positive. And there are people that we brought to Jaffa for a day of fun for our Palestinian employees. And it's the first time that people there that are, 25, 35 years old, that live 45 minutes from the beach, it's the first time they've seen the sea. And just that fact shows you how close we are, proximity to each other, but how far we are because of the borders we've put on ourselves. I think mainly because of the fear factor between the two people. Once you start talking about soccer, about sports, about children, about families, you see how close we are. And that positive friction caused less fear between the two people, and we can get closer. And that's what's also driving a very positive reaction to the work between the Palestinians and the Israelis together in one company.
Absolutely, and I would definitely want to hear more about that. It's a very unique context of HR in a sense. But before we go there, I think it's always very important to also be honest, right, and have a very clear outlook on reality. So I do want to ask if there were any challenges along the way before we deep dive into the successes, which are many.
Yeah, so first, we're always honest. Second, there's always challenges, first from within. There are a lot of employees in Mellanox that didn't like the idea of us hiring Palestinian employees. They said, your people are coming first in priority and so on. But other than that, I think, and also some of the managers said, it's easier for us to manage here or in the US or Ukraine or Denmark. But then once you're very persistent and you say, okay, we're going to have a design center with our neighbors, with the Palestinian territories, you start building up and people have a positive experience working with them, and they see the value that they can add to the company, to their teams. It's becoming easier and easier. I think the employees there are very highly motivated. The unemployment of educated people in the Palestinian Authority is very high, and I think everyone we can hire is very significant. The average pay, I think we pay about 3 to 5x the average pay to a Palestinian employee, which is very important, and that we feed about 5 people circling around, giving services, support to our employees, to our facilities there. So it's very important that we hire more people, create more jobs in the Palestinian territories, and have them catch up to the modern world and become part of that. And then we can be better neighbors and bridge the gap between the two people.
Absolutely. So back to the HR issue. We'll talk a little bit about managing a team of employees who are specifically Israeli and Palestinian. But even before that, we're talking a lot about the importance of the high-tech sector and the innovation ecosystem to be more diverse, more inclusive. But how do you lead a team which is so diverse and so inclusive? Everyone has their own needs, their own holidays, their own culture. How do you get about managing such a diverse team of people?
That's something we do on a daily basis. Like I said, we have people in 34 countries. So we're used to do this in China, Taiwan, Singapore, Japan, Korea, US, Denmark, Netherlands, Russia, Ukraine, Germany, England. So we're used to do this all over the world. So there's, you just need to be able to work in another area, in another territory. And that's something we're used to do. So working the worldwide, working with multiple companies, with multiple regulations, is something we're used to do. There may have been small, higher burden to open and start the activity there, but once you're done, it's pretty easy. It's like everywhere else. And you need to comply to the regulation, the law with the Palestinian authorities.
The one thing that is unique to the cross-border corporation is that you are actually leading a team of employees. Bless you.
Thank you.
You're actually leading a team of employees within the context of a national conflict. So Mellanox is obviously and NVIDIA, these are private companies. This is a non-political conversation, but we cannot ignore the context around us. And you are leading a team of employees within a conflict. How do you go about that?
Yes. So first, NVIDIA is a public company. It's not private, but it's not in a government-related stuff and so on. So, but it's a very good question. We had 3 small wars while working with the Palestinians. We had the second Lebanon war, and we had 3 operations in Gaza, and we had a lot of our team. Sometimes 30% of our team went to Lebanon, and about 25% of our team was in Gaza. So we were fighting in Gaza, and we had soldiers from Mellanox being in Gaza at the same time employing people in Gaza, and that didn't disturb us. And I all the time made sure that our employees keep working and that our soldiers in the reserve duties in Gaza are okay and safe, and we sent them whatever they needed and supported them in that. So this didn't cause, at least in my eyes, any issue, any problem. Both sides knew what's happening and why it's happening. So the fighting had to go because there are people that want to harm us in Gaza or elsewhere, and that's where we need to act in a military way. But people that want to live and work with us and be a neighbor in a good side, we're very open to that. We extend our arm for peace, and we keep working, even though while our forces and our own employees are in Gaza, we still want to work together, employ and build a bridge, and maybe be able to create peace between the 2 people. So you work in this geopolitical environment where forces stronger than you make you do things that you need to do in order to protect and continue living the way you want, in freedom, in the way you want to live. But at the same time, you maintain the neighborhood relationship, the employment relationship with the teams in the Palestinian territories to try and make things better for both sides.
Absolutely. So let's also talk about the global context we're in, right? And specifically COVID-19. Can you tell us a little bit how the pandemic affected the company, how it affected, if at all, the cross-border cooperation, how the company reacted to the global pandemic?
Yeah, so Mellanox is always ready for disaster, and we have drawer plans for many things like tsunamis, earthquakes, fires in some of our facilities, and many hurricanes and many other disasters that hit us from time to time. So we are ready for everything, for continuity of our supply, our commitment to our customers, and we never missed anything. Also, during the corona, we've realized very early, very fast, this is going to be something big. So we've made sure that we are manufacturing in multiple sites. That's already we're doing for years. So when China shut down, we moved manufacturing to India and Israel. When India shut down, we moved it to Taiwan and some back to China. So we were actually ready for something like a disaster like the corona pandemic effect, and we were ready. On top of that, we were able, because we're spread in so many places, to use our employees in different territories to bring medical equipment, protection equipment, medicine to the teams here, also breathing machines to Israel, because we understood that the people that will get their hands first or earlier on those equipment, on this gear, will be able to bring it to their countries, and there was a race to do that. To Mellanox itself, it was actually very positive. We grew up 40% year over year. I think more people working from home, more learning from home, everything done on the web, increases the use of the data centers. And we're seeing even today a great increase in our revenues and use of our products everywhere around the world. And with all of our product lines are growing very, very fast. So for us on the financial side, it was very positive. On the operations side, Mellanox was ready for disasters, and we were also able to help multiple. We also donated to China at the early stage where we saw China hit and the world just looking. We donated to China multiple masks, I think 10,000 or something like this. by the way, when China started recovering and they saw Israel in this, that our Chinese employees donated to the Mellanox employees in Israel back some stuff. So we take care of each other worldwide, and it was very nice to see all that.
So I want to build off of that last point. We have a tendency to have a very specific separation between the corporate world and, let's say, civil society, right? We believe that the corporate world's job is to make money, and if we want to impact society, let's leave that to civil society. But we're seeing more and more and more the role that the corporate world is taking for the benefit of society. So how do you see that if there's a role? Well, obviously, since your previous response, you do, but is there a role for the corporate world? Does it need to take a stance and a stand? Does it need to be part of society? Does it need to promote positive impact? Does it need to promote peace building?
Well, first, every corporation is part of society. There's no question about that. You are part of society. Your employees are part of the society wherever you work, wherever you live. You want them to live better. You want to take care of the society you live in. You want to take care of the societies your employees, your people live in. So the answer is very much yes. We're very much minded to that, and we think we can improve and do things that I think are important for the societies. At the same time, the number one responsibility of a financial organization is to be profitable. And that's nothing that no one can ignore. So that's something that you must put as priority number one for every management team: be profitable, be stronger, grow faster. And that's priority number one. Now, doing that, if you can at the same time actually benefit on the social side or geopolitical side, that's even a double blessing. Or you can gain more both financially and socially. That's something that I think a lot of corporations can do. And then sometimes you can also do things just for the social wise, such as us helping in terms of the corona, because you think it's important and you think that the capability of your corporate is faster and better, more agile than the government, then we can help there too. So it really depends on the management. Number one, take care of the financial results of being profitable and growing. Number two, of the social impact that you can with your employees and the environment you have, and then donate wherever you can to causes that you think are important to everybody else.
So definitely ROI is also obviously financial, but definitely also in positive impact.
Yeah, you always measure everything with the return on investment. Sometimes the donations you're making, we donated, or we and other donated $250,000 for a hospital in Gaza. We think it's important that our neighbors have the right medical care level and the quality of the Western world. So everything we can help there is also important there. There's no return on investment. It's just being a good neighbor and helping build the hospital, connecting it to the infrastructure, which they lack the money for. So it's important to be a good neighbor, understand you want to create peace, work together towards that. And at the same time, if you can benefit financially, that's also good.
Eyal, thank you so much for taking the time. I think your story, your message is not only important to the cause of this conference, but to what we're all trying to achieve for the benefit of everyone in this region. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.